How's it going, everybody? This is Sean and Steve here with the Off Key Podcast. We are happy to finally bring you episode 10. We have been a decade of episodes here. So, we're going to try and do a little bit revised rapid fire format here to try and encourage more regular listening and full length listening and ease of listenership. So it's 9:56 as we start this recording right now. So that brings us to 10:26 is when we're hoping to have this thing wrapped up, Steve, right? 10:26?
Yeah.
No, 10:36.
We should just spend the entire episode talking about like what time it is, how much time is left. And there'll be 40 minutes of discussion about 40 minutes of time.
There you go. All right, so let's get it going. What do you got for me? What have you listened to, whether it's new, whether it's old? No homework assignments, none of that BS. Give me what you got.
So one thing I started with the Mac Miller album.
Wow, okay.
So I don't know anything about Mac Miller.
Out of left field there.
Yeah.
I will, I'm grabbing my notepad here. I will let you continue on, please.
But yeah, with so the Mac Miller album Circles, you know that he died, right?
I'm very aware of his passing.
Yeah. So like I said,
R.I.P. Mac Miller. I've heard many great things about you.
Yeah. Have you listened to him before?
I believe I saw him live with you at Bonnaroo. I'm pretty sure I was excited to see him, and I saw him live at Bonnaroo.
I would have had no idea who he was at the time.
I'm pretty sure I did, because he had the song, that Knock Knock song, which sampled like a really old song, but it was really creative, and I loved it. I used to play it when I hosted karaoke. I used to put it on at the bar, and it would get the people going.
Okay, because I know he's been around since 2007. I think like 2011.
He was like 18 when he like first hit it big.
Yeah, he was 15 when he started rapping.
Yeah, when he was like modern popular, like becoming somewhat mainstream.
Yeah.
But so Circles, when is Circles from?
So Circles is from this year, and this is what I guess it was released in January, but it was posthumous. I don't know. The words always confuse me. But so I mean, he released it this year, but I threw it on this morning and I was listening to it, and it was one of those like lazily optimistic albums where it was the perfect music to wake up to and start cooking breakfast and be really like optimistic about your day. It's not gonna like pump you up and everything, but it's
more like chill hip hop.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know too much about it, but the whole album in general had a vibe of just like, I don't know. I keep using the term lazily optimistic.
Okay.
Where it seems
we could say like relaxation and positivity.
Sort of. I mean, a lot of the topics on the album seem to just be about getting through the day and like getting through the motions and getting your shit done. So,
yeah, and I think if I remember correctly, like as he was recording this, he knew he was not in a very healthy place. I think that's accurate. You would have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure. I remember reading after he passed away that he actually didn't think he should go on tour.
I mean, I know he had drug problems.
Yeah, but he didn't. He knew. I think from what I read, and I'm pretty sure because I think me, I generally have a pretty good memory. I believe his own thoughts were from people around him. He was saying, I don't necessarily know if going on tour is like the best idea for me right now.
Okay.
But he went anyway. And then, cause I think he knew like the pressures of, partying and being around the scene and all that would essentially, get a hold of him in a way that he didn't want it to happen. I think is kind of where he was.
Maybe.
But anyways.
I mean, because
key tracks off the album, stuff you like, stuff you didn't like.
Well, I mean, the opener is really good. It's just this down tempo little bass part. It's called Circles is the opening track on it. But it sets the tone, I think, perfectly, and then it kind of builds into, there's a lot more like synths, I think, in everything nowadays. I don't know if that's just an element of, people being able to do stuff on their own at home. But I mean, as far as the musical, like I only listened through it like 1.5 times.
Hey, whatever.
But my general impression of it was that I really did enjoy it. The key tracks for me, like Complicated was really, I don't know, like upbeat. I think honestly, I don't even know the tracks, but I think Everybody and Good News, whatever the one where he's talking about a politician in. But like I said, I don't have too much to even say about this album because I didn't do enough research. I'm ill prepared.
Steve's been really half-assing it lately, folks. If you're listening, and we both apologize, but Steve has a regular job and regular life, and it has been crushing his nuts lately. So,
Pretty much.
But yeah, that's all right. It's something I've written down, and I will probably now.
I think you would really like it, honestly. Like
Yeah.
tomorrow morning when you get up, throw this album on, like go make some eggs, go make some bacon, and like maybe go on a morning walk when the air's fresh.
I just went on a walk, Steve. I just went on a walk. That's all I do now.
Oh, okay.
I usually go morning workout, nighttime walk. That's usually my routine, or afternoon workout, nighttime walk. But on that walk, great segue, nailed it. I found this list off of like NPR's newest albums of the week, and this is about 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And one of the undercard listings, they had like 9 albums listed on there, but one of the undercard listings was this album called Daniel Romano and How Ill Thy World Is Ordered.
Okay.
So that is what I went with. And the album is actually, on the cover of the album, it's actually credited as Daniel Romano's Outfit, like the band, I'm assuming.
Okay.
I really liked it, dude. It was something new, something different that like I didn't know anything about this guy, but from the first track, I was like fully enamored.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was just what it reminded me of. So I have some fairly extensive notes from this album.
Look at you.
Yeah, I tried because I knew you've been doing other things. So the first thought was, it kind of reminded me like if Spoon and My Morning Jacket kind of had a musical baby,
Okay.
we might find Daniel Romano's Outfit and this album. But there's shades of classic rock and like psychedelic rock and blues and country. You can tell he's got like a ton of influences. So, and then I did this is from like the Pandora kind of biography section.
Mm-hmm.
He's Canadian. His parents were folk musicians. His grandparents were fans of like vintage country. So he grew up with that, and then he got really into Minor Threat. Him and his brother did. So they formed like an indie punk band, and it was called Attack in Black. They developed a following in Canada, it says, and then they Bad Business Deals made trouble for the band. They released their final album in 2009, and then he teamed up with Dallas Green from City and Color and what was it? Alexis on Fire.
Yeah, I remember that band.
Yeah, so he teamed up with Dallas Green as the drummer. He was the drummer and an instrumentalist for City and Color. So if anybody listening has seen City and Color, you have also seen Daniel Romano, and maybe you know about him already.
Yeah.
But I did not.
Wait, so was he drummer in, first of all, did you say Alexis on Fire?
Yeah, or Alex is on Fire, however people, I've
literally never heard it said out loud. In my head, I always thought it was Alex is on fire.
That's what I always, but then I think I believe I've heard Levy say it as Alexis, and Levy finally gets like shout out number 5 on the show.
My Alexa's have been going crazy right now.
Making fart noises.
Yeah.
Jets touchdown on an interception. That's not good.
Stay focused.
Yeah, I know. So anyways, he was frustrated with the music business, it says, and he just started going off on his own and going back to like country influences. And he's released, I forget how many albums. So it's been a lot. I want to say this was like 9 or 10. Basically, like he's got a lot of stuff out there. So very interesting. Like I said, overall, I really, really liked it. There's like 4 songs on here. I could definitely see like some of this getting radio play. I don't know, depending on the stations you listen to, but I think there's a lot of songs on here that people could really get behind. Mm-hmm. The first track on it is called A Rat Without a Tail. And then, so basically like the first 4 albums, it's funny because the first 4 tracks, I listened to the album and I really kind of thought the same thing. I went afterwards and I was just kind of reading like somebody's review, and they kind of all had the same ones I did. Like Rat Without a Tail is track 1. How Ill Thy World is Ordered, the title track, is 2. Green Eye Shade is this kind of quick, catchy, like poppy, almost has like a 50s sound. You got like clapbacks and like female vocals in the background.
Okay.
And then First Yoke is the 4th song. All of those I thought were very catchy, very notable tracks off the album. And then there's 2 more on the back end. I thought the middle of the album was like it kind of toned down a little bit, kind of lulls you back to sleep a little, not sleep, but
Yeah.
tones it down a little bit.
Comes in for a landing.
Yeah, and then he brings it back with there is probably my favorite song on there was A Secret Still Betrayed, which is still a little slow,
Mm-hmm.
but and lyrically it was hard to hear all of his lyrics. He kind of has he's got a like kind of soft and like calm voice, but it's good. But there's like great use of horns on the album. He uses horns really well in certain parts of each like multiple songs, but I didn't think it was like overdone. And I think that's kind of what gave me that like Spoon vibe. Is I
Okay.
know said like Spoon, I always kind of feel like Spoon uses horns. Um, but there was one lyric that caught my attention from the song A Secret Still Betrayed, and it said, should you hide away the senses of your struggle, they will only be returned. Man, I think I have the lyric wrong. I'm sorry. Oh, that's what it is. Should you hide away the senses of your struggle, they will only be returned to shed more trouble. And I was like, damn, that's pretty good. That's rather like profound. But lyrically, it was hard to denote everything. But melodically and musically, I thought the album was very, very enjoyable. So to anybody, interested, that is like I said, if you have any interest in My Morning Jacket or Spoon, I kind of felt the album had that type of vibe to it.
Okay.
So I very much encourage those people to go check it out.
So Daniel Romano, what was the name of the album?
It's called Daniel Romano's Outfit, and the name is How Ill Thy World is Ordered, and that's the 2nd track on the album. But like I said, I thought 1, 2, 3, 4 were great, and then
I like the names of them. Rat Without a Tail.
Rat Without a
Yoke.
Tail is really good. Yeah, it's really Rat Without a Tail is really good.
I'm
And most of the
intrigued.
songs are in like the 4 to 5 minute range. But I felt that I don't know. I don't necessarily I don't feel like they were like ever like super formulaic. It wasn't just like there's choruses and stuff, but I never felt like it was like A leads to B, then we go to C, then we go back to, whatever. Like, I don't know. I didn't feel like it was super duper structured, despite the songs not being like crazy long or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely an album worth listening to. And actually, what was weird is kind of there were definitely times where I could feel the same type of like the Velvet Underground, like psychedelic rock vibe. I could feel that on the album a little bit too, and I thought it was interesting because I had, the last episode we had talked about Loaded by the Velvet Underground.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like there was shades of that in there. But yeah, like I said, good use of horns, good voice. I loved, there's a lot of like female backing vocals that kind of give you like almost like kind of like a 60s pop sound, I guess, at times. But all in all, man, thought it was a pretty good album that caught me off guard. I listened to it about 4 times over the past like probably week and a half.
Okay.
So definitely check him out. I'll probably listen to some of his other stuff at some point. I don't know when I'll get around to it, but next week I'll try and come with something different, and so we don't have the Daniel Romano show week to week.
No, I'm intrigued by it. Usually anytime somebody actually has a genuinely good reaction to like a new album or something.
Yeah. And this album's super new. It came out, as far as I know, like within the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Like, it's very, very new. So, yeah, we'll see what happens here.
Well, I'll give it a listen.
We are officially sponsored by Busch Light, by the way. I just wanted to point that out.
It's a Busch Latte.
Busch Latte. Busch. So, yeah, man, what else you got for me? What else you been listening to? I know it's kind of been a little over a week.
And I've been on a Frank Turner, just digging in.
You don't say, mate. You don't say.
I want to be an unauthorized Frank Turner historian.
Okay, you're already an unofficial Brian Fallon historian.
Yeah, they're very similar vein,
I
but
apologize. My cable is stuck under my chair, and it was potentially damaging my headphone cable.
that's fair.
Yeah.
Um,
So Frank Turner.
yeah, I mean,
What is his band's name again? Isn't it Frank Turner something, or is it just Frank?
And the Sleeping Souls.
Oh.
So for people who don't know who Frank Turner is, he is a London solo artist who now has a band.
We talked about him not too long ago.
Yeah, but we didn't really go into it. What we talked about, I think, was when I sent him the email, because the book that Megan had bought me had not come, and it kept getting pushed back like month to month to month. And then so I sent him an email basically saying, hey, man, I don't know where to go with this. We can't get answers. When is the book coming in? And he's like, I'll get right on that. I'll check it out. And then lo and behold, a few weeks later, it showed up. So I don't know if maybe he checked with his suppliers or not.
Yeah.
But
that's sweet. What an honorable man.
Yeah. But no, he's a really, really humble person. And today, actually, he had a live stream show because him and his wife are moving from London to the outside, kind of like more in the countryside. So
gotcha.
I think due to COVID and the severe limitations of what London is going through and the industry as a whole, and he's been pretty open about the how damaging it is. But he's done a ton of like all these live stream shows, like full album performances from his living room and everything. And all of them have gone, all proceeds to go help venues and everything to try and keep their doors open. He's been on the forefront.
Music. Yeah, you hitched up there for a second, but music venues is what you said. Gotcha.
Yeah, but he's been, no, I mean, he's like just a really great guy. He's humble. He treats his fans with all the respect in the world. He's super honest. But the book that I got was called Try This at Home, and it was like a guide to songwriting kind of thing.
How's that working out for you?
I thought it was going to be a little bit more technical in terms of like, when I read the name of the book, I would assume that Try This at Home meant like, what can I do to record a song at home? So I thought maybe it was going to be suggestions on like good audio and all this stuff. But what it is, and it's equally as cool. I've been extremely happy with the book.
Mm-hmm.
But he goes through his entire discography. He started in a band, and it was kind of more of a, I'd say on the metal edge of things, but it was called Million Dead. And that was in like early 2000s before he did the solo thing. So he starts at the solo career, and he basically talks about every song and the evolution of where they came from based on his own recollection. I think he wrote the book 2 years ago. So pretty much everything over the last like 15 years of his career, he had kind of documented. But he goes through kind of each album, and he picks, 3 or 4 songs from each one, a couple EPs and a couple like one-off singles, because he's got over 200 freaking songs.
Yeah, I feel like he's a guy that literally just cranks out albums, and he's so good at, from what I've heard, because I feel like I've probably heard in my lifetime maybe about like 15 tracks from Frank Turner, which obviously makes me no expert, but I do feel like he is another, and we've talked about this before, he's another very literal songwriter. He has no hesitation in singing like, I was talking to Steve and staring at my computer screen and blah, blah. Like that's very much, I feel like his content is exceptionally literal.
He does. And he has 2 types of songs in my eyes, is that one, he'll be extremely literal to the point where it's almost comedic.
Yeah.
And to the point where it's borderline cheesy, but if you read the lyrics on paper, you would not like, when you hear the song, it actually has some vindication behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Are you watching the game?
No, not at all. Has vindication behind it. I can multitask.
Yeah. But I mean, what basically, I think the song 4 Simple Words is a great example.
Okay.
So it's off of his Tape Deck Heart album. And for some reason, it's a song that he plays live a lot. And it's a lot of times in his wheelhouse in terms of set lists and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
but it's just called like I Just Want to Dance, and it talks about like how music makes you want to dance. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a fun song, don't be wrong, but again, it's on that borderline to me, like a little cheesy, but it's fun. It's like a good live song.
Yeah.
And then he'll have really, really deep, well put together poetic songs. Like if you ever listen to the track I Am Disappeared.
I think I actually know that song, but I'm
To,
not 100% sure.
to me, that's one of the top songs that he's put out. Probably, at least in my eyes, I think as
And
far as like,
sorry to cut you off. What is that one about?
well, I mean, the premise of it, and I actually just read the chapter on the book about it.
Well, that's
And
good because then you'll be able to talk about it very nicely.
yeah, so um, what basically it's the song's called I Am Disappeared, and what had happened was he was on the revival tour before. So the revival tour was that Chuck Reagan acoustic like folk tour or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So he was in the U.S. and he was before he put England Keep My Bones out.
Okay.
And so I guess he had this dream or something where basically he was outside of a show, and then Bob Dylan pulls up in a car, and he gets in the car, and Bob Dylan and him drive off into the horizon, and Bob Dylan won't say a word to him. So he's like, it was one of those dreams that stuck with him for days kind of thing. And I might
Uh-huh.
not be reiterating this entirely perfectly.
You just read the book on it. You're probably doing a pretty good job.
My memory is pretty shoddy. But it's coupled with that and his own restlessness of like what he struggles with a lot is when he's on the road, he yearns for home. And when he's at home, he's like climbing up the walls trying to get out on the road.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this restlessness of wanting to constantly be on the move. And the tone and the imagery and the lyrics of the song about having dreams, like these restless dreams, and people who have like they're just constantly wound up tight in the things that cause them stress and everything. But I think it couples in the song builds and builds and builds, and like the climax just really takes it to like that final level that makes it to me like a perfect song by him in terms of one of the
Okay.
songs that he's made.
Okay.
So but the book itself, I don't even know how I got on that tangent. But
We were talking about like literal songwriting, and then you were talking about the differences of his songwriting. Like some are super literal and some are different. And that's
yeah,
how
and
we
I mean,
got there.
some is still kind of creating that imagery, but some is just I think he has statement songs which are just trying to make a simple statement. Like he put out an album after Tape Deck Heart called Be More Kind.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was just a statement about like the state of the world. It was after Trump took office. Everybody was kind
Mm-hmm.
of at each other's throat. And I think he was trying to do something that was very much in tune with like just putting a record out to put out good vibes in the world. And to me, it fell a little flat because I thought it was, there was missing a layer of depth to it.
Mm-hmm.
But everything else that kind of came before it, I think he kind of balanced that line where one song could be very like, you know, you read it on paper kind of thing, but then you hear it, it makes sense. But I think his whole discography has been pretty fantastic, especially the first 4 albums he put out.
So there's one song I specifically remember as far as lyrical content goes. And it's like, I believe it's something to do with possibly a friend that had cancer. And like they're
Yes.
going, you know what song? So what song am I talking about? That
Long,
song always resonated with me pretty heavily.
Long Live the Queen. And
Okay.
he talks about that track in his book too. But that to me is like a perfect example of a song that he got approval from the family and everything before he put that song out, because he was having a moral struggle with like, I'm making a song about a friend of mine who passed away and like I'm immortalizing her kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time, it's in his nature to do that. He needs to say those things. And
Yeah. Well, and that's his creative outlet is music, not painting or anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, or maybe that's another one of his creative outlets. I don't know, but that one always stuck with me. And yeah, like from the first time I heard it, I was like, man, that's intense, but also really well done.
Yeah. So for anyone listening, the song is about a friend of his that, basically found out she had cancer and was dying. And uh, it's based on a true story where basically she's in the hospital not doing too well. So then he comes down to see her,
Yeah.
and she's like tired of everyone like feeling sorry for her kind of
Mm,
thing. So he takes her out on the town,
yeah.
kind of tear it up and go get drunk.
Yeah, they get hammered and like smoke cigarettes and shit.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
it's just that idea of like, even though she passes on, the whole, the message of the song is like, you'll live to dance another day, is kind
Yeah.
of the chorus. And it's a tragic song, but it's
Yeah.
done optimistically, and it's done in like, usually when songs are about people who pass away, there's slow ballads kind of
Yeah.
thing.
No, this one's definitely a little bit different than normal.
Yeah, and it's fast paced, and it's no, that was, I think, and it's one of the songs that I think helped put him on the map a lot more, which was kind of odd.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So, like I said, that's probably the one I remember most of all of the songs I've heard. And I've definitely heard, like I said, probably like about 15 of his songs. But I do like a lot of what I hear from him.
yeah, and it's earnest, I think. And the last album he put out was I'm not as familiar with it, but he put out a whole album kind of about women's stories, but like uh he talks about like the astronaut on the Challenger explosion.
Oh,
He
okay.
talks about like some kind of more like 1600s like women, and like a lot of really interesting historical stories all centered around women, just to kind of, I don't know, I never got as deep into it, but there's
Yeah.
like a
But
whole,
that's just what he wanted to do. And he did
yeah,
it.
and it was just trying to like, what's the next step, like what do I want to talk about kind of thing.
Yeah.
So he's always had like a bit of an evolution, I think, to his songwriting. But just kind of circling back on the book really quick, I think it is cool to kind of see what decisions he makes in terms of like chord progression, strumming patterns.
Yeah.
Um,
Because did he talk about that a decent amount in the book?
yeah, he talks about like the decisions that go into it. And again, it's not like the technical stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
but what does he say about him? That's interesting for me as somebody that occasionally does write songs, and or at least I write a lot of instrumental songs.
yeah, well, one,
I'm interested to hear.
yeah, because one example to me that kind of stood out was the idea that in "I Am Disappeared," going back to that song, is that I think he said it was like a C chord that's kind of a bright, happy chord that he played. I think just the first three or four strings, but the way he described then dropping it down to some sort of minor chord by just adding an extra string, like whether it was the fifth string, and I might be actually doing this in the wrong order, but the way he talked about where you basically have like the hints of a minor chord, but you're actually
Yeah,
playing a major chord.
yeah,
And that's kind of the tone of the song where you're
yeah,
talking about, and then once you hit that minor chord, it's like a reveal, like the sadness was kind of
yeah,
always there. And the way he kind of describes it in that way of a chord kind of unwrapping itself, revealing this
yeah,
like new feeling that comes along just by hitting one extra note, but you kind of
yeah,
had the hint that it was always there. Like, to me, that's just one of the many, many, many examples of decisions made in the book and why he went about doing it like that. And to me, because a lot of his songs are based around pretty basic chords like C, F,
yeah.
G,
Oh,
D,
yeah, for
whatever.
sure. I always thought he was a rather simplistic songwriter, but also I think a lot of the times, pop music is very simplistic, generally speaking. There's a reason that people have such an affinity for it, like because it's simple and catchy and stays with us.
Yeah, and I mean it's basically the folk music that he's going for, and I don't think there's too much deviation from certain chord progressions in folk music. So if you're going to stay true to the nature of that sound, you kind of have to stick with the nature of the chords that come with it. So
Yeah.
um,
No, and
but
if you're looking for like more of that, like kind of understanding that, um, there's a guy on YouTube. I think I've mentioned him to you before, but if people have not seen him who listen to our show, if you play music, I thoroughly encourage you to check him out. His name is Michael Palmansano, and he started the thing. It's called Guitar Teacher Reacts, and he is a guitar teacher, and he is a very good guitar teacher. I do not pay for his lessons, but you can. But I can say as a guitar player, watching his videos that he puts out for free on YouTube, he's got like, I think like 80,000 followers. He puts out great videos that really help you understand songs a little bit more. And like, even though I'm not a music theorist in any sense of the imagination, it has helped me think about the structure of the neck and fretboard and what I'm playing much more regularly. And watching his videos has definitely made me a more cerebral guitar player and like more thought out, like kind of what I'm doing, and given me, I think slowly it's given me a better ability to improvise, because I'm trying to think about what I'm playing with a better understanding of what notes I'm using and why am I using them. So if you are a listener and you are looking for something of that nature as a guitar player, even though you might not be like classically trained like some musicians are, I encourage you to check it out. So it's called Guitar Teacher Reacts. It's pretty cool stuff, and there's plenty of different songs that people send him and that he goes through. So he doesn't necessarily teach you the whole song, but he gives you the kind of the outer workings, the framework of the song, to give you a better understanding of how the song is structured and why it works.
Well, and also because what he does, at least from what I've seen, I haven't watched like a full one, because usually people send him jam band, like 12,
and sometimes but he does do shorter ones too now.
Okay, because I know one of the things was like he would literally go through a 13-minute song and then he'd play it and then he'd rewind it and then he'd try and noodle around on his guitar and figure it out. And so the process is although very, very cool throughout a 13-minute song, can quickly become like a 30, 40-minute
it's a 30-minute video sometimes,
Speaking as somebody who's...
We don't know anything about that.
About keeping things short.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we have 9 minutes left.
Yeah, we can cut out the Mac Miller part.
No, we don't need to cut out the Mac Miller part. Anyways.
It wasn't good. But no, the only thing I will say just on that guy is that he does do an excellent job of like if you were using, he's like GPS for songs, because he'll be like, and you'll see that's
a really good way to put it. That's interesting.
Because it's like when
he's like GPS for songs. That's funny.
Yeah, because he's explaining to you the decision making that's going into why they're jumping, from this note to this note, or this chord to this chord, and how they get there, and the technicality in which they do it. So. And his excitement is infectious. It really is.
No, I agree. A lot of the times it is very good. But shout out to him. I've enjoyed his work thoroughly, and to anybody that plays guitar and is looking to gain a better understanding of guitar without necessarily going super into theory, but maybe you're a slightly more experienced guitar player. Maybe you got 5 to 10 years under your belt, but you're still figuring things out. I very much encourage you to check out his stuff. So what else, man? Anything that you've been jumping on, or you want to come back? I don't know where we go from here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you just froze up a little bit, but
oh, my bad. Okay.
No, I mean, after talking about the Frank Turner stuff, I didn't know if there was anything else that you had on your...
I've been diving into a lot of Angels and Airwaves. I did make a post about it a couple of weeks ago on our Instagram page. Yeah,
I love that album.
So I go back into that as a reminder of like good vibes and just enjoyable music. So that stuff has helped me through some tough times before. So I went back and listened to that, and I still love it. And it's funny because like I had Angels and Airwaves radio on, and like Plus 44 came on, and I kind of forgot about them. That was like Mark's like side project. I forget who else was in that band.
It was Mark and Travis and one other guy.
Yeah, and then like Boxcar Racer comes up on the Angels and Airwaves radio and stuff. Yeah. So just kind of recycling all the old like pop punk that I used to listen to, and that I still listen to, obviously, but that I still love. So yeah, I've been through that. If you've never listened to any of that stuff, like I haven't really listened to the new Angels and Airwaves album. I know they have a newer album out. I think it came out in like 2019. I haven't listened to that at all.
Yeah,
But
he's still been putting out music under
I
that
know,
moniker.
and chasing UFOs,
Yeah,
and putting out music.
which I think has garnered him like a I think a pretty good amount of money too.
Yeah, no, I believe his work with the government has definitely helped him financially. Not that
Yeah.
he needed it to begin with.
No, I'm pretty
Um,
sure they're doing pretty well off. But as
yeah,
far as the
he's
Angels
doing
and
quite
Airwaves
well.
stuff, was it I Empire, and then what was the one with Secret Crowds on it? The second one.
That's
Or no, that's I Empire.
that's I Empire.
We
Secret
don't
Crowds
need to
is great.
whisper is the
Is the
first
first
one.
album. Is the
Yeah.
first album.
And I still remember
We
you
don't need
showing
to.
that.
Yeah, we don't need to whisper is fantastic.
Yeah, those first two albums were great, and then I think he put out maybe it was Love Part 1 and Love Part 2. I think they were like the
Oh,
third
okay.
and fourth.
Maybe that's what I haven't listened to. Yeah, I don't know.
They're still good, but they didn't have the same I don't think they still had the same feeling. I still remember though when you showed me We Don't Need to Whisper and you played it. We were on our way back from Ohio State. And it was one of those moments where we're driving through cornfield, like Midwest.
Yeah.
It's one of those like ultraviolet pink and orange like sunsets. And you're like,
Oh,
I have the perfect album for that.
Yeah. I do remember that. And I put it on. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's when I fell in love with the big drums.
Yeah. Oh no, dude. There's the recording of those albums, like the sound engineering, all of that, like stuff that I can't really, speak to in a super educated fashion.
Mm-hmm.
But the sound quality when you listen to those albums and when you hear like the nuances of it, especially listening through headphones, are fantastic. Seeing Angels and Airwaves perform live, a little bit different story. Still entertaining, but very, very different from the album itself.
Yeah, it wasn't
from
great.
From a studio perspective, they are fantastic, and so
yeah,
I can separate that. Like if you went into the studio and your engineers and you as a writer, and you guys worked as a team to create this tone and make this kind of like perfectly sounding album, fucking awesome. That's sweet because I love it. You know what I mean? And seeing it live was just okay, but listening to it in headphones, it's like it's awesome. It's super fun to listen to. It puts me in a great mood. It makes me want to keep pushing forward. It's awesome.
And I still think that one of the things, one of the descriptions that he had when the adventure came out was like, go listen to this album, bring it to the top of a hilltop and like watch the city lights kind of thing. But what it was that he, I think, really captured that essence, like that tone. And speaking of tone, I know we talked about it, but that In Pursuit of Tone.
Yes,
Tom
we talked about it a while ago.
And when he's talking about, it's for people listening, it's a YouTube video.
It's like a 15-minute interview, isn't it?
It's like an hour.
Is it an hour?
Yeah, okay. But it basically it starts at the beginning of Blink-182.
Yeah.
Really like his whole childhood.
Yeah.
It's a mini documentary on Tom DeLonge.
Yeah. It's a good way to put it.
But to see that he's not necessarily just this like bratty punk kid who sings about all the stuff in Blink. Sorry for the train, folks. But when he gets to the Angels and Airwaves stuff and he talks about how excited he was about finding that new sound and really kind of like doing something different than Blink.
Yeah.
That was cool to me. I think you get a greater appreciation for how much effort he puts into it.
Well, and I think as like for me as a Blink-182 fan, if you go back and listen to like the self-titled album, I definitely think you can hear the initial start of him kind of discovering new sounds and different ways to record, because you could tell there are things on that album that were getting away from the typical like Blink-182 structure, and the way they recorded them and the sounds of the guitar and stuff like that. Like you can definitely hear, I feel like the start of Angels or where he ended up with Angels and Airwaves. I think you can hear it on that album.
Yeah. So, and then when they came back and they did,
what was it? Neighborhoods or something?
Yeah. Was it? Because they did the self-titled one with like the smiley face, with
the
X'd out eyes or whatever, and then I think Neighborhoods was what they came back with after.
I think that's what it was. But Yeah, man. That's pretty much what I've been diving into again this week. And I know sometimes it's recycled and we listen to the same stuff, but I'm glad I got to talk about the Daniel Romano album. I think there's a lot of people that will enjoy that. So I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot else to add. And I'm glad I got to shout out Michael Palmansano because that dude does a ton of videos on YouTube. He's a very, very good guitar player and
And he knows you
knows what
don't
he's
pay
talking.
for his lessons.
Hey, that's fine. He doesn't. I mean, hey, he's making he's making money on YouTube. I'm sure.
Oh
So,
yeah.
good for him, man. And like I said, he's a very talented guitar player. So it's very fun to hear him break that stuff down and learn a little bit at the same time.
Yeah. So,
You got anything else for me? You watch anything? You see? Did you watch? Real quick before we leave, we're both big South Park fans. Did you watch the new South Park episode?
I have not yet.
Okay, so I watched it today, and this is a musical tie-in. There's a new Cartman song.
Okay.
There's a new Cartman song that opens the episode.
Okay. Say no more, but we can discuss it next week.
I hope you enjoy the new Cartman song. I watched it today, and it's available on demand, so you should watch it now if you've got a moment.
Oh, I know. Is it on HBO?
I don't know if it's on HBO. I watched it on Comcast on demand.
Okay, I'll find it somewhere. But I've been waiting for the weekend so I can actually enjoy it.
Yeah,
because that's something I want to give my full attention.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm probably gonna watch it again at some point. So
I was actually hoping to have a watching party with you, but I realized that today that you probably watched it already. So
I didn't watch it last night. I ended up watching it today, but it was entertaining to say the least. So
good.
I'm still rewatching last season right now because I never really fully got into last season.
They're better, I think, when I go back and revisit them. When I watched them the first time, I was never really a huge fan, but in hindsight, I think I appreciate it more.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. But yeah, man, that's it for me. I really tried to be as thorough as I could on the Daniel Romano album. So
Cool.
I hope people check it out and enjoy it. And it looks like the Broncos are going to get a victory here, so that's good for me.
Good. Take that money.
But yeah, man, that's it for everybody. We finally did it. We finally did an episode, I think, in under 50 minutes. So if you listened this week, we hope you enjoyed the shorter, condensed, more rapid-fire version. And we'll hope to be back for another one next week. So this has been the Off Key Podcast, episode 10. We are now only 49 episodes away from the 59 Sound Extravaganza. So we hope you join us for episode 59.
It's coming soon.
All right, everybody, have a good weekend or a good week whenever we release this. And enjoy some music. Leave us suggestions. Follow us on Instagram. If you have thoughts, we would love to check out some new stuff. So thanks for listening. And yeah, we'll talk to you guys later.
Sweet. Actually, today was the last day to sell it.
Well, but I mean, it was raw. You cooked it, right?
Yeah, it wasn't frozen.
Okay, and then there was no pink in the middle, right?
A little bit.
Oh, yeah. It was, for someone like you, that is a bold move, Steve. You're an idiot, man.
Just a bit.
That's so dumb. Why would you do that, knowing you might run off the set here and just go shit your brains out?
If I do.
Yeah, I mean, I'll cover for you. Don't worry. I'll explain the story.
Okay.
But anyway, let me know.
Oh, I hit record.
Oh, all right. So we'll cut
out that first part.
Yeah.
Or you leave it.